everyone, and I'm sure you all know that the first Guild Wars 2 open beta was this last weekend. Anyone who pre-purchased Guild Wars 2 was able to check out some of the gameplay, so I was really excited to be able to do that for the first time. Up until now, all I had seen was videos, so this was really quite an exciting weekend for me. I was able to get a lot of good FRAPS footage and try out a lot of the Mesmer skills. I chose to focus on the Mesmer profession as it was the most appealing to me since it was announced. I really wanted to try and hammer out the basics for one of the classes instead of playing around a little bit with all of them. I did make, I made a Guardian, Necro, Engineer, and Thief that I all leveled up to level 2 and took them into the structured PvP as well to try them out a little bit, but none of them I spent anywhere near the amount of time on as I did playing the Mesmer and structured PvP. I imagine there are other people out there that felt the same way, so I wanted to sort of share my experience and FRAPS footage with people who spent their time playing other classes and might be looking for some perspectives on the Mesmer now before we go into the next series of beta events that are coming up here. The next one I believe is at the end of May. Even though I spent a lot of time playing the Mesmer, I got to know the other classes very quickly because basically knowing which abilities you have to dodge and which you can counter is really important if you want to take down your opponent in Guild Wars 2. I was using the sword and torch mainly, and I just wanted to sort of check out the notion of a melee caster because it was really sort of intriguing to me. My second weapon set was the greatsword, and I added some range versatility to my build. And to make their melee work, I really had to rely on the 3 stealthing utility skills that Mesmers get, and the torch skill, Prestige, which has a very short cooldown. Other than that, they get a decoy if someone's a clone and stealth them, and a invisibility wall that they could put up and run through to stealth, as well as the ultimate ability, which is a 5-second stealth once you finish casting it. I never rebound any of my keys, which was probably a big mistake, but I guess it says a lot about the game when you're having so much fun just playing with the default setup. You don't care enough to rebind all of your abilities and you just want to check out the PvP. And I'm taking a look at some of the Mesmer abilities. I'll give a quick overview. The number 1 ability is an attack chain that applies vulnerability to your opponent, and all of your clones have it as well. Number 2 is a bursty channel attack. It makes you immune to damage, but it forces you to remain stationary in order to continue channeling it. 3 is the illusionary leap skill. It summons a clone that jumps at your target, and it has a follow-up skill that's available for a couple seconds after you use it, and that gives you the ability to teleport to the clone you just summoned and root anyone near you for a couple of seconds. And you can use that teleport even if your clone does get destroyed immediately after you create it. And using the torch in your offhand gives you that the prestige, which is that stealth skill on a really short cooldown, and when it ends you come out of stealth in a flaming glory and just ignite everyone around you. And then there's a phantasm on the torch as well, which I didn't use anywhere nearly enough. And obviously the greatsword gives you a lot of ranged options, a snare, a knockback, and a phantasm, and it's pretty easy to use, as no doubt you've seen if you spent any time in structured PvP. A lot of people are just pew-pewing away with the greatsword and not really doing anything else with their Mesmer. As you can see, I picked one of the more action-packed matches here to demo some of the Mesmer skills. It's right there. I'm using the greatsword. Throwing the sword there snares everyone in its path, and it creates an illusion at the end of the throw. That hit that thief that I was trying to kill earlier, but he ended up running away and stealthing. I'm backing off here because I am low on health and I forgot to charge up my mantra. I did a lot of forgetting to charge up mantras throughout the beta. Targeting this guy, pulling out the sword and torch again, using the prestige on there, burning him right off the bat. Basically pulling out the illusionary leap skill. My clones, there's the leap, and I teleport to my clone to keep up with him. Basically just doing as much damage as possible to him, and my clones are actually doing quite a bit of damage themselves. Another guy coming up here trying to res him, and I'm attacking him to make sure that there's enough pressure on him that he can't really res. Another guy dropping down from up above here. I'm getting pretty low on health, and I still have my mantra up. And mantras, the way they work is you have to recharge them before you can use them again. My mantra is my heal, so I have to charge up a 5-second cast before I can heal. I tend to forget about that a lot, so you'll see that in a lot of my footage. Usually the best way to go about it is to burn a stealth skill, and right there I didn't, that was a big mistake on my part. You always want to burn a stealth skill before you charge up your mantra, otherwise there's no way you're going to be able to pull it off in combat really effectively. That was the end of this match. It was a pretty decent match. There's a lot of action in it, which is why I picked it. Now we got some one-on-one footage coming up here. This is a fight that started off as a 1v3. This is 2 warriors and a guardian charging in here. Oh, and they're both using their spinning skill that does a lot of damage, but I'm able to counter that by using my number 2 ability, which makes me immune to almost all the damage. Here they're just wailing on me, and I'm going to take a ton of damage coming up here. I'm running for my life, and I use my elite skill there to try and stealth for 5 seconds, but it fails because there's a little debuff on you every time you use a stealth skill that prevents you from stealthing again for a couple of seconds. It shows up right above the health bar. I didn't even notice it until I started watching some of my own gameplay videos. This guy followed me here. This is a warrior toting a gun, and he's trying to take me out here, but the guns don't really do very much damage for a warrior. They do some decent AoE and some... they're good if someone's running out of range, but if I'm up in his face trying to melee him, he definitely does not want to be using a gun. Dual axes are much better for that. I'm able to take him down and run off here. The next fight here is this elementalist that comes up behind me. Elementalists were crazy in this game. They do a lot of damage, but they are really squishy. They have barely any health at all. They have the least health of any of the classes. Somewhere like 12k, something like that. So I have almost 10,000 more health than them. Going up and wailing on this guy in melee. There's a second elementalist there, and I know that I'm not going to live very long if I have to fight 2 of them at once. So I just went really aggressive, trying to take that guy down, and I had to finish him off because if he got rezzed, it would be over for me. I had already used my mantra to heal myself, so I had to charge it up again. I'm trying to dodge roll out of some of the fire, but he's got this burn debuff on me. The burning really did a lot of damage. You really had to watch out for it. Using the prestige there, I'm dodge rolling every time I stealth to create some clones and try and throw him off. He loses his target every time I stealth, and I'm able to finish him off there just from sheer damage. Melee damage, Mesmers do quite a bit of damage. My team came up here chasing this other guy, and the mage got a little, or the elementalist got a little distracted there, thankfully. Otherwise it probably would have died. This fight versus the warrior here, he charged in on me using dual swords, and then he switches to dual axes here. So I know I have to be really careful. I'm creating clones just to try and distract him. There's his swirling attack. I counter that with the channel ability that makes me immune to everything. Drop down a little stealth wall here and plan on recharging my mantra, but I didn't have the cooldown on the mantra up quite yet, so it was a little early on my part. So I still have to recharge up my mantra. I'm using my immunity to buy myself some time, and my teammate comes in. I'm popping the prestige to get my mantra recharged. But this guy's pretty much toasted, and he knows it with the both of us on him. I like to think I would have won that without my teammates' help there, but that's how it goes in the battlegrounds. It was really hard to find very many one versus one fights.